I humbly greet you good fellows out there. We're still tackling issues that could open our hearts and minds to something really serious in life. As previously I've always done, people might have their own views about life, but still it becomes necessary to share when there are new development of ideas that you probably feel might not be out there. Even if they are, you're giving a helping hand to those who are already sharing the good stuff or the good ideas. What am I really talking about here? If you've been listening, it is more to do with my personal experience, which has got a topic of my personal account, and unveiling a friendly trap. They are all actually related because based on the experience that made me took on to myself to sort of be sharing these ideas or these experiences that I've been through and what my ideas or thoughts are. I also have touched on the area of the beginning of achieving peace, because life without peace is meaningless to me. That's what I think. And I've realized that there are many who would disagree with me or who have disagreed with me in openly and privately, whichever way. There are also those who are privately have agreed with me, but openly disagree in their actions. And the cowardness is not something that I see as something that should be tolerated. Whatever religion is or culture you belong to, most of it has become very hypocritical in their ways, which I don't think is right. I believe in God, but I define it differently. I believe in a God, or I believe in the existence of a source by which I came from. That is exactly what my faith is about. I came from somewhere. I am definitely from somewhere. But in this sense, I'm talking about the general human race. The human beings came from somewhere. Where did we come from? Sorry, excuse me. Wherever we have come from is what the religious man or the cultural man would define as God. The very source. But mostly it has presented, the religious, the cultural presentation has been in a context of if something founded them. If you get found by anything, it does not necessarily mean that that is where you came from. An adopted child cannot make a claim of his biological parents to be who adopted them or whatever, who his adoptees are. So if you end up adopting somebody, you are only playing the guardianship, but you are not necessarily the biological father of that person. When we mention God, or when I'm talking about God, or this topic is mainly in relation to a biological link. The true, if we say true God, you are trying to say something that truly, or someone who truly is the source, or the very true source by which we came from, genuinely, biologically, in that sense. Not just saying that you get adopted by somebody or captured by somebody and a child end up into the hands of another guardian and the guardian took care of that person, so it becomes like that is your guardian. No. That is what today's religion and culture is about. Most of the presentation clearly reveals that somehow the adopted God or the adopted faith is mistakenly being viewed as the true source of life. And so my debate or my grounds is to reveal that, guys, that isn't it. I have read it again, and I say that isn't it. The few examples I use is on the religion of Christianity, which we normally use the red letter example, one of the red letter Bible, and I do have a plain Bible there, and sometimes we base it on the Quran, which is also an Islamic book, But in the Bible, we also have the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Old Testament have some relations to the Jewish worship, which is the Judaism, using the Torah, because it's like most of the text in the Old Testament relate to the Torah. So we could say so many words if we depend on the Bible. Already people depend on the Bible so much for their guide to their life. So if you depend on the Bible, then you are somehow dependent on the Torah also. So we do have three sources of information or presentation as to religion, the true religions that we have to hold on to. The other one is the Buddhists. They also have, it's quite another large society somehow, but I don't have none of the books. It's just that sometimes you come across some of their books which talks about karma and all sort of things. But we do have a general idea of what religion or culture is about, so you and I can go along that path. If I believe in God, or maybe you misquoting myself by using believing in God. Fine, that's what the thing is. Knowing, or the knowledge of idea of God being there, the suspicion that I have is valid, and everybody who has that is valid, and I'm sure that is how most people should even view it. But there are others who go to the extent to make it look as if they practically have something to strong evidence to relate to. That is something that I refuse to accept. Big time, I deny that sort of claim. That is not necessarily right. In so many sense, I make it generally to be viewed in a general sense that whatever you believe, whatever source you have come from, including the source that I also talk about, that I have knowledge of, whichever experience I probably have gone through, must be able to declare itself, himself or herself. It must be something solidly obtained without, doubting much of what it is, Now, the idea of the source of God and all that is something that we also see as the solution to all problems. Because if for instance, someone say you don't relate God things to, people always exercise fear. They make it become so fearing that people are finding it difficult to question it, But that is not ideal. If you fear so much, you can never discover. The confidence of asking, it's a requirement as long as faith is concerned, because or else you can never know. If the idea of God, as you see, or the source of life, or the source of whichever you sort of suspicion that you have about the source is something that's kicking you within, you have to question it. You have to question. Put your questions out there. Okay, what is God all about? God is about you seen as the ultimate source of your existence. It's hard for people through the fear to compare it to anything that is relatable in terms of what men and children, or let's say a man and his products. Men have done some creation over time. In fact, life itself of today has got the only practical evidence, which is not related to a divine being, but actually a physical human being. We have made efforts personally by ourselves. We have grown, we have developed as time goes on. If there are some divine secret inspiration that has not clearly been, revealed to many, So whatever it is, that I believe that life, that my view of life is, I sort of think that somehow it should be it should have some solid evidence. Without that, it's meaningless. There's no point of whatever claim I may do, or claim that anybody may do. What is the source of life? What is